we asked them, you ever felt discriminated or against, based off of, your orientation, your religion, your color? And 9 times out of 10, these kids go, no, I don't, like, what are you talking about? Like, it doesn't, and I'm just saying, I think culturally, just from my little tiny, sample size perspective, I think we're making a good shift.
That's
really
good.
When it comes to that, and it's really great to see kids like that, and kids don't see color. And I coach, like I said, I coach 6U Little League football kids, right?
Yeah.
So it's kids, black, white, Spanish kids, Jewish kids, and they don't see color at all. They have no idea, and it's great to see that. It really is. Eventually I'm sure they'll figure it out, but it's just like, it shows you they judge a person.
Welcome to Connecting the Dots. I'm your host, Jessica Carice, and this space is a place where you talk about seemingly random topics, but in all actuality, they're connected together. And today we have a very special guest. His name, well, I have him saved in my phone as Mayor Ryan, but his real name is Archibald John Ryan the Fourth. He's the mayor of Dania Beach. Being part of Dania Beach is part of his lineage, which we'll definitely get into. We were just chatting about that. He also does real estate, property management, insurance, a football coach, library card. Welcome, Mayor Ryan. So happy to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Jessica. It's great to have this opportunity to finally get together with you and, discuss your topics that you're interested in on your podcast. So let's not confuse who this is. And, just thank you for, using your platform to spread the word and hopefully inspire and help others. And that's great. And like I told you earlier, you get a chance to affect one person, it makes a big difference.
Yes, it really does. It really does. And so my topic is about your life.
Okay.
Mayor Ryan. So when did you become the mayor of Dania Beach?
2 years ago in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 2022. No, November. I think the election was November 8th.
Mm-hmm.
So I made the decision. Probably that was the last person to commit to becoming mayor. Probably about 6 months before the election.
Oh wow!
And then you have to qualify with the city, and that I think that's about 4 months before the election. So I made the decision about 6 months before. Then you have to set up your platform as a political candidate, and you got to start campaigning. You got to start pressing the flesh, is what we like to say. You got to meet a lot of residents, a lot of constituents, understand what their problems are, and the whole reason that I got into it is. I'm from Dania Beach. My family's been from Dania Beach for over 100 years. I'm a 4th generation. I'm raising the 5th generation of my 2 children. So I wanted to have a little more say in what goes on in my community because I felt like I had a very deep understanding of where we were as a community and why people wanted to live where we are in the first place. So I put my good foot forward, so to speak, and I got elected. It was a tough race. When it comes to raising money, I wasn't very good at that. And asking for money, you got to kind of put yourself out there. And that's a big thing about being a politician is you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And we, I got a hang of it. The biggest thing is I like talking to people, like conversing with them. I feel like there's always a way to solve a lot of problems. And that's pretty much what I do for a living is I'm a problem solver, a lot of conflict negotiation. So I felt like my professional skills would transfer well into my political skills. And, these last 2 years, it's been very fulfilling to be the mayor of Dania Beach, my hometown, my family's hometown. And, I like spreading the word about my city and about where we are and what we can be and what we were. We were actually Broward's first city. Established in 1904. Dania Beach was actually established in Dade County.
Oh, interesting.
In 1904. Broward didn't become a county until 1915.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we were actually Dade County's second established city in Dade County. Yeah, so Dania Beach is a very historical city, not just for the county, but also for the all of South Florida, the Tri-County area.
Mm-hmm. Wow. No, that's amazing. That's amazing. It's so funny because my the first apartment I got down here was off of Sheridan Road. It was Ocean Club Apartments.
Yeah, the Ocean Club.
Yeah.
That's in Dania.
Is it? Yeah, because there was always like a little fight. Like, is it Dania or is it Hollywood? You know, just depending on which system I was entering my address in. But I always loved that area. I always loved it. And I definitely saw over the years like the development and improvement of the city. I think now we have like that huge Dania Point place, which everyone loves. It's been a wonderful addition. So like, I guess what inspired you to make the decision to run for mayor?
Well, just going back to what you were saying, where you lived in Ocean Club, that used to be called Pirates World.
Stop.
Believe it or not. Yep, it was called Pirates World, and there was bands there. The Grateful Dead performed there, and they had they had little rides that were in those canals back in there, and they had like theme park. It was a theme park called Pirates World in Dania Beach. So you could look that up.
Wow.
And then you're mentioning Dania Point. That was Boomers.
I remember
and Grand
Boomers.
Prix Racerama, which was a huge, the world's largest outdoor race. What is it? Those little race go-karts. Yeah,
I
world's
went
largest
there.
outdoor go-kart track.
Yeah.
And I think it was the world's largest miniature putt-putt golf course too.
So
So just with that, like just me understanding like that's what Dania was and where it's going. Like I said, I felt like it was very beneficial. But my ultimate decision to run was, I was just unhappy with how many changes happened so quickly in my city without me having much of a say. In Dania Beach, you couldn't build past 3 stories until 2010.
Okay.
They changed the ordinance, and look at the place 10, 12 years later. We have high rises,
there's lots of
multi-story
high-rises.
buildings, mid rises, and we had 10,000 RAC units. They're called Regional Activity Center units for a specific area of the city, and they were all taken up within 10 years. So we've increased, just our RAC units by 10,000. We have 3,000 that are already accounted for. That's going to be going up also for projects that were approved years before I even got into office. So I like to call it growing pains is what we were going through. We were going through somewhat of growing pains, and it was tough for, like natives like me to see all these changes. And it's kind of like, what's in it for me? You're just building, just a major apartment building with no commercial retail underneath and nothing for me to really enjoy as a resident. You're just making it more crowded and more traffic.
Yeah.
So, look, development's going to happen. Growth is always positive, but it has to be done in the right way that, preserves the integrity and character of your city, especially my city, Dania Beach. It wasn't designed for that. So I feel like I had kind of a very good vision of what our city is and how it's viewed, and we should be respected. So that's what I feel like I've done. That's why I wanted to run. Like I said, I want my children to grow up in Dania Beach and want to raise their family there and want to stay in that community as well. Start a career there, live there, and instead of just saying, can't wait to get out of here.
Yeah.
And that was me. I have so much pride and love for my city that the first chance I had to give back, I definitely jumped full in. And here I am. I'm the mayor. And it's hard to kind of calculate everything that went into play to get where I am. But, I'm very thankful and very grateful to be a leader of my city right now.
Yeah. Oh, wow. You definitely brought me back to memory lanes because, like, when I was a kid, we used to come down here all the time to Florida. And, like, my aunt, she would take us to Boomers. And I remember there was, like, this wooden roller coaster that me and my little brother went on. And we didn't get to sit next to each other. So he was sitting next to a stranger, like, holding on to the stranger from...
It's called the Hurricane.
Yeah, I think so. So it's so funny that you brought that up because like that was definitely one of my childhood
you have
happy memories.
Yeah, that's great. It's great to hear.
Yeah. I don't even know if I shared that with Mark. Like,
Well, I talk about Dania Point a lot, and for those listening, Dania Point it's a major. It's a community center. It's an activity center. It's not just a shopping plaza. You could live, work, stay, and play there. It's a place where you could live. There's restaurants, retail. There's everything that you need. Shopping. There's multiple shopping sources in there. But I joke is that area kind of transformed with me in my life. When I was a kid growing up, it was Grand Prix and Boomers. So it was where you played miniature golf and where you went on go-karts and played video games. And you did that all the way up until you took girls out on dates at a miniature golf course or go-kart ride. And then when I went to college, Boomers kind of was transitioning out. And that's when the developers were making their land buys and so they had to put many parcels together. What they did at Dania Point was actually very impressive. It wasn't just like one big swath of land that they purchased. It was multiple parcels, and they had to purchase them. And there was a few people that held out, and they put it all together, and they had a vision of what to create it. So I was in college at that time when everything was torn down. And I remember when they tore down the roller coaster. It was a very sad day for me.
Yeah.
And Dania Point began construction, and it came about in about 2020, and that's what I say. So when I was a kid, I grew up, it was a fun place for me. Now it's a great place for me to bring my family, have a great night out with my wife, or just get a quick bite to eat from work. So and bring the kids for ice cream, bowling, movies. It's anything you can think of. So it's really transformed with me, just like it's transformed with the entire community. So we're thankful for Dania Point. It opened up in 2020 at a very rough time. Obviously, I don't know what happened in 2020, but it opened up at a very rough time, especially for that specific market. And they battled through it. They had a couple stores that closed down or whatnot, but if you go there now, as you guys have, it's a thriving area, and it's actually an example that other cities go to. I've talked to other mayors. Mayor Fort Lauderdale, for example, Dean, if I don't know if he wants me to mention him, but he has developers. They're talking about the Galleria Mall, right?
Yeah, it's a little sad.
So that could be a major real estate acquisition. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes there, but that's gonna be something that's gonna be developed. And so these developers go to him and they say, no, retail's not going to work. We can only do housing here, only residential. That's the only thing. And he says, oh yeah, well go to Dania Point and tell me that it doesn't work, and they have the mix. They have the perfect wedding between both of those. So it's great to just be an example for other cities. Our city immediately to the north, Fort Lauderdale, major metropolis, way bigger than us. And it's just good to set an example and be a leader when it comes to that.
No, that you raise a really great point, because everybody goes to Fort Lauderdale and stuff, and everyone just hangs out on Las Olas, but there isn't a centralized, nice hangout spot like Dania Point is, for example. You just have the bars and stuff. And, and if you're lucky, you can walk around the intercoastal part. But it's so sporadic, I guess. And if you don't know, you don't know type of thing. Where at Dania Point, you can definitely explore and take your whole family recreations.
You could bounce around. They have Cooper's Hawk.
Yeah, they have Cooper's Hawk.
And then after Cooper's Hawk, you could go to the Tommy Bahama Bar and then maybe go bowling after. It's a great spot for all ages. And, there's one thing I was talking about, too, is there's unfortunately not many places for teenage kids to hang out anymore. And, sometimes it can become an issue. But Dania Point, it kind of gives that opportunity, like a movie theater, and we have a Bolero. So it's good, but I feel bad for teenage kids nowadays because they don't have something like Boomers. When I grew up here, we'd go to the Sheridan Plaza movie theater all the time, and that was our Friday night thing to do, and it was just loaded with kids. If that happened today in today's world, it would be like there's something wrong with all these kids being around here. So we have to understand these cultural shifts, and I think the kids are growing with it too. And everybody talks about these kids being on iPads and stuff. I guess I'm going off topic here, but I am just ready to talk to you about anything really. That was just trying to bring up. We want to bring that entertainment for everybody, and I realized that. There can be issues that come with those, major public gathering places when it comes to public safety and whatnot, and increased crime or increased traffic. And we stay on top of that as well with, our law enforcement and Dania Point also with their local security that they have.
So what relationships shifted in your life when you became mayor?
it definitely takes time. It takes away your personal time with your family. Unfortunately, as much as I don't like to say it, but there's, you really have to prioritize your time. I will say that, and your relationships with elected officials really changes. Yeah, before maybe I met one mayor once, before I was elected.
Yeah.
Now I know every mayor in every city throughout the country. Not just alone South Florida or the state, but throughout the country, because we go to these conventions and conferences to share ideas and so yeah, I met the mayor of Frankfort, Kentucky, Los Angeles, California, New Orleans, and that really changed my perspective on elected officials. Because when you meet them, you speak like Jane Castor, the mayor of Tampa, right? She looks like a real stern woman, and you see her on the news saying, if you don't leave this hurricane, you're gonna die, and everybody loves her for it. But when you sit down with her and talk to her, she was former chief of police and everything. Nicest person you could ever meet, and very inquisitive, and that's with most of them. Mayors are like extroverts, right? So when you put them all in a room, it's like lightning in a bottle, right? And so I would say that's one relationship that definitely has changed, or just a perspective, I would say, of elected officials. We're all kind of the same, and the last thing that we ever ask each other is, oh, are you Republican? Are you Democrat? We do not ask that. It's just, even when I go up to Tallahassee and we lobby for money for our city, it's just not a question that really gets asked. It's more like, look, are you trying to help? We got to get some business done. Yeah, how can you help me? So I think you see from a local level it's not as partisan as one would think. I like to say there's no right or left way to fix a pothole. Right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, everybody has the same problems, and that's a good thing about being the mayors. Mayors solve problems, right? Yeah. And I'd say your relationship with your residents change a little bit too, because they expect a lot out of you, as they should, and they hold you to a higher standard. And you want to hold your residents to a high standard also. And sometimes they think everything's your fault. So, but on the flip side, sometimes everything good is because of you also. So you got to take the bad with the good, and you have to realize just these are people, and most people don't understand, politics really, or how municipal government works with the city manager, how it works. So the best thing is to just be open-minded and be open-hearted, and you could get through these problems together.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing, is just knowing that I'm listening to you. I do care. If I could help you, I will, or I'll point you in the right direction to someone who can help you. Yeah, so I'd say, those are the three relationships, I'd say, from political level to the residents, and, personal, obviously, how it affects you.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you did real estate, insurance, property management before you became mayor.
Yes.
So
still doing it.
You're still doing it.
Yeah.
So, do you find that people, when they find out that you're a mayor, do they, kind of clam up, or how do they?
Oh yeah, that's funny you asked that. That is pretty funny. I'll give you a story. I was doing a insurance transaction for a client, and they were out of town. I write insurance for the whole state of Florida, so it was a client up in Daytona, and things were just getting a little tough. Trying to get the policy written, and it was a big policy, and they speak to you in a certain way, right? And, it's like, well, I need this done now, and I was like, okay, no problem. I never like to, never really tell anybody. It doesn't mean anything. I'm working for you business-wise. And one of their friends called him and told him, he's the mayor. And they called me, and they go, I didn't know you're the mayor. The mayor, I'm just the mayor of Dania Beach. I don't think the guy's ever even been to Dania Beach before.
Yeah.
He's like, I didn't know you were the mayor. I'm like, why? Would it change how you were talking to me? He's like, yeah. And so that is an example right there. Yeah. Because mayor is honestly, it's the first, I learned this, it's like the first person of authority that you learn about when you're a kid growing up.
Yeah, that's
you
true.
learn about the sheriff and the mayor.
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
And those are the top two.
Yeah.
And it's always like that position of power, right? Even from kids. I was just at a school an hour and a half before I came direct from the school to here, and the kids just see the mayor and they go, "I never met a mayor before," and so that's the cool part about it. But also, it's showing like, look, I'm a regular person.
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't want to be held to looked at like I'm somebody that's more important than you. You know what I mean? But I do have a position, and that position does demand respect, right? And you have to hold that respect for your somebody that's someone's that gonna come after you, and some person that precedes you, and for other mayors around. Like I say the same thing for my profession, right? Like realtors, insurance agents. You have to look after the profession, right?
Yeah.
You have to protect yourself, look after your own agents as well, and
Yeah.
and as those in the field, those in their career also. So same thing when it comes to politics. You know what I mean? You have to maintain that level of respect. There is a level of respect that comes with it, but you do it in your own way, and very rarely do you have to check someone. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's mainly when it comes to the commission meetings, the city council meetings. That's when it's business. Very serious,
Yeah.
no emotion, and that's when you really see, just how business gets done, and that's how I like to hold myself too, to make sure that look, I'm taking this seriously. Let's treat everybody on a professional level with the highest amount of respect possible.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's carried on throughout our commission, our city, and our
that's
city
fantastic.
staff. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy to see it turning out like that.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. And so, like, when you're under, let's say, a lot of pressure from the work front and the mayor front, how do you maintain your mindset? Like, how do you stay level-headed?
You have to have your own hobbies, right? And you have to have your own little things that you like to do. Anywhere, if anything from exercise, right? I'll run to the beach and back if I feel like I'm just, getting claustrophobic. It's like a 5-mile run for me. I say I do it like once a week just to maintain something, right?
Yeah.
I enjoy golfing. You got to kind of find
Where do you
yourself.
golf? Where do you golf? Where do you golf?
All over the place. I see you're on a golf course, right?
Yeah.
I golf at Emerald Hills a lot.
Emerald Hills, okay.
And I grew up golfing at Holly Beach Resort, which they're redoing right now, right off Johnson. I golfed my whole life. My son golfs, and you got to find your retribution in the ocean. I enjoy fishing, diving. So that's why I live where I live, right? Because we could golf, we could fish, we could dive,
Yeah.
snorkel. We have everything we could really offer here, and I'm a big sports fan also. So like I was just at the Dolphin game on Sunday. Unfortunately, lost by 1 point, but and for me, we haven't talked about this, but I come from a very big family, and my dad had 5 brothers and 1 sister, so he came from a family of 7.
Wow.
And at Dolphin games, my family's been season ticket holders since 1966.
Wow.
So we all still go to the games. A lot of us are my aunts and my uncles and my cousins. So every Dolphin game's like a family reunion, right? And that's nice. That's like
really
kind of
nice.
like a retreat giveaway. My family
Yeah.
could care less that I'm the mayor or anything like that.
Yeah,
So it's good. You find your solace in your family, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's really nice. That's so nice. Okay. Yeah. So it's like you are a regular person. You have your hobbies, your
Oh, yeah.
family, everything. Speaking about your family, we were talking about it before the podcast, and I thought it was like so fascinating. And you mentioned it earlier. You're 4th generation.
Yes.
Yeah.
So my great grandfather, Archibald John Ryan Sr., right? He moved down from Cook County, Chicago. He was an alderman in Cook County, Chicago. He's actually a school teacher. And he came down after World War I. He's a World War I veteran.
Wow.
And so this is actually a great story, okay? He found out he was on his honeymoon with his wife in like 1918, 1917. And he was at his honeymoon in Yellowstone, Yellowstone National Park. And when he was in Yellowstone National Park, a prospector approached him. I forgot the man's name. And he said, hey, there's a city down in Florida, down in South Florida, where there's a lot of opportunity down there. There's a big land boom. Down in South Florida, this is like right before the Roaring 20s, big land boom in Florida. And so I guess he convinced him enough that he went down there with his wife, took a train down there back then, visited, and then went back up to Chicago, and then moved all their stuff and drove down to Dania Beach. And
Wow.
he came down to Dania Beach. He established a real estate company that I work for. It's called AJ Ryan Realty, established in 1924. Oldest real estate company, one of the oldest companies in Broward County. And he was an insurance agent like me too, a real estate salesman. He's a cattleman. And he helped establish the first bank of Dania.
Wow.
Yeah. The bank still stands there, and he helped build houses in Dania, and he sold property to everybody too. He didn't discriminate. And my great grandmother worked for him also, and she was actually a trailblazer for women. She practiced real estate when we weren't even allowed to practice real estate as a female. Yeah, and she was the first Realtor of the Year that was a female. In 1956, she was elected Florida Realtor of the Year. So, that's going back to my family. So my great-grandmother, amazing woman, huge trailblazer. She was the president of the American Legion Auxiliary. Mm-hmm. And my great-grandfather, too, big guy, established Dania Beach. His son, my grandfather, was a state senator, a lawyer, attorney, World War II veteran, Korean War veteran, Uncle Jimmy, Korean War veteran. Yeah, and then it come to my family, and my father's an attorney, my grandfather's an attorney, and their law firm is in Dania also. It's probably one of the older law firms in Dania, thinking of it. I'm fourth generation, and I'm Archibald John Ryan the fourth, as we know, and I'm raising my son and my daughter, and my son's Archie the fifth. And he's starting to get that Dania pride. He's 6 years old. So yeah, my family is very rooted in the city, and from my great grandmother helping start the women's club and building the women's club that's still there, that we're going to try and restore now.
Yeah.
And just going back to things that they did that I could follow up on, and like I said, provide a little insight to the city now that may not know what was there before, or who did that, or why they did that. So it's great. And I find like old tidbits of history throughout my office or in storage or whatnot, and I always like to share it. Close relationship to the Historical Society. So yeah, the history of Dania is very close to me, and I still fight to preserve it, like to this day as a commissioner. Yeah.
No, I always find that so fascinating because, like, my background is Jamaican, and I was first generation born here. But so like with all the movement of just my family lineage, I can't track nothing. You know, no, I can't track anything.
Have you tried Ancestry?
Yeah.
No,
man.
I haven't even tried that. But speaking of that, of the islands in Jamaica, Dania has a population of Bahamians, Jamaicans, and Haitian even also, that goes back 4 or 5 generations as well.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
we have a generational families from the islands in Dania. They helped build the city as well. We're going to name a street after a Mr. White, who was the first baby born in Dania.
That's so funny.
Yeah, and he happened to be I think he was Bahamian. Yeah. Yeah. So
that's so fascinating.
yeah, it's very fascinating.
My last name is White.
No way. There you go. See?
But my family's Jamaican though.
Okay.
So this gets like into the
We'll see. You could have roots in Dania.
the interesting topic, because you'll have some people be like, they were slaves. That's why they're because you have that.
Yeah.
No,
but not in South Florida. Dania was established in 1904. So what? Slavery? Yeah.
Yeah. So it was already abolished.
40 years after. Yeah.
That's true.
So we do have those racial scars, of our past in Dania. We have segregation. Like Dania Beach, we're actually one of the a good example of like antebellum South, to be honest with you, because look at the railroad tracks, right? They said everything was separated by the tracks. We have what used to be, it's all integrated now, but we have a white cemetery and a black cemetery. The white cemetery is on one side of the tracks, black cemetery is on the other side of the tracks, and the cemeteries are obviously still there, but you could see the scars of the past right there, and that's something you're not going to change. You're not going to dig up bodies or anything. So Dania has that reflection of that old Southern city, and like my father grew up before integration, and he said after after dark, if you were African American, you couldn't cross the tracks. You had to stay on the west side of the tracks. Yeah, after dark. So those are stories that I've heard of, and those aren't stories that we should shy away from either.
Yeah.
Like I said,
I'm really happy you're like chatting about it. It's pretty cool.
It's part of our past,
Yeah.
and it's something that we should really embrace and understand. And like I said, those generational families, those black families in Dania that have been around forever, they're very proud of their history also. And we really are kind of a melting pot of a city. Yeah, we don't shy away from it. We kind of embrace it head on. And that's what I like to do, and that's what you should do as a leader.
Yeah.
You can't things that happened in the past, 50 years before you were born. What can you do about it?
Yeah.
But, you can educate about it. You can discuss it. A beautiful thing, if you want to get into that subject, about discrimination or racism, is we recruit boys and girls for boys state and girls state. It's like a mock government that American Legion sponsors, and we send them off.
Yeah.
And it's great. So we interview these kids, and they're all top of their class, and we ask them, you ever felt discriminated or against, based off of your orientation, your religion, your color? And 9 times out of 10 these kids go, no, I don't. Like, what are you talking about? Like, it doesn't. And I'm just saying, I think culturally, just from my little tiny sample size perspective, I think we're making a good shift.
That's
really
good.
when it comes to that, and it's really great to see kids like that, and kids don't see color. And I coach, like I said, I coach 6U Little League football kids, right?
Yeah.
So it's kids, black, white, Spanish kids, Jewish kids, and they don't see color at all. They have no idea, and it's great to see that. It really is. Eventually, I'm sure they'll figure it out. But it's just like, it shows you they judge a person, by who they are, not what they look like. It shows you how, like, I think discrimination is kind of taught in the house.
It's an interesting thing. It's an interesting topic, and I'm happy that you're so game to like chat about this. Just because like for me myself, like my viewpoints I feel are a little bit nuanced to the popular viewpoints, because like for myself, growing up, I didn't really experience racism towards myself. Like, I didn't understand the concept of color until I got to middle school, where the black kids would tell me I talk like a white person. I'm like, what? Like, what are you talking about? Like, and they would say, like, you want to be white. I'm like, what do you know? Like, my background's Jamaican. I don't, like, so it was a concept that was introduced to me by people who look like me, and I didn't really look at the world that way. Granted, as I grew up, there were situations that were kind of weird, or I'm like,
you learn as an adult.
Yeah, but like growing up, no, I wasn't.
And that's great to hear. It is. Like, everybody's discriminated against in their own at one point in their life. For on their job. So on the team they were on, you know what I mean, in their community, somehow, somewhere, at a Starbucks, whatever.
Yeah.
Right? And, with people like that, I just kind of, I feel sorry for those people. I do. Like, for the ones that are racist and discriminate and, biased in a way.
Yeah.
I kind of just try and break it down, and I feel bad for them. You know what I mean? I don't want them to make me feel bad about myself.
Yeah.
Or another person.
Yeah. Because it's all like ignorance. It comes down to.
Exactly.
Comes down to ignorance. So.
Yeah. But like I said, it's good to talk about these issues, and especially in a community. But we have a very mixed community in Dania Beach. We have 2 African American women on our commission. We got a old Italian guy, Marco, and then we have Lori, a white attorney in the county, and then you have me, a young white male. So we have a big mix.
Yeah.
But Dania Beach is the whole entire city for me, and I grew up in every nook and cranny of that city, and I know everybody from every part of town.
Yeah.
And that's nice. And like, you can't say that for every city, because some cities are huge, right?
Yeah.
But that's the thing that's special about us, is we still have that small town feel, kind of, right? That small town charm in the midst of this humongous metropolis, that's surrounding us, amidst millions of people.
Yeah. It's so funny, because before we moved up to this area, like, we would always go to We didn't go to the pier in Dania, but we would go to the beach off of Sheridan.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
and we always loved that
The
because
Broadwalk in
is that what it's
Hollywood?
called? No, it was like between.
Oh, in between Sheridan and yeah, that's Hollywood Beach. Yeah, but it's nice.
But after the boardwalk,
yeah,
right,
yeah.
where it
Broadwalk,
gets like
the broad
the
walk.
Broadwalk.
Yes, please. Come on.
And we always loved it because it was quiet. It wasn't so overpopulated with a lot of tourists. Like
Yes.
so like when you talk about the small town charm, like yes, like we loved it so much.
You can bring your dog over there.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I think Mead Street or whatever. Yeah, you can bring your dog in that specific area, and I love it over there. I grew up in Dania, so I would take that little route down Sheridan and then down A1A and down Dania Beach Boulevard. It's like a little 7-mile route, and
Yeah.
I'd ride my bike, and it's just it's great. It's great. I love the combination that we have. And in Dania too, our territory is in a quirky way where a lot of times you're in Hollywood real fast,
Yeah.
and then on the northern side it's Fort Lauderdale. I have a whole nother story to explain that if you want, but I don't think that'll interest the crowd as much.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, we're our location is unmatched. The whole reason our location was chosen is because Henry Flagler was building the railroad line, right, all the way down to Key West. So Dania Beach was one of his stops. It was called Modelo back then. They called it Town of Modelo after
That's
the.
funny. After the
Yeah,
beer.
because not after the beer. His company was called the Model Land Company, so they called it the Town of Modelo, and there was a couple towns of Modelo as they moved down.
Okay.
So Dania was the perfect spot. It was high enough ground, and it was in between West Palm and Miami. It was perfect for him to have a station there. So one of the main hubs was there in Dania Beach, and that's why he established that city. And it was 12 Danish families initially that moved from Chicago to Dania.
Interesting.
And then our founder, Andrew Christian Frost, named it Dania after those Danish families. Yeah, so there's a little explanation
That's cool.
for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like a little Danish settlement. And those people were pioneers back then. You know what I mean? Could you imagine what South Florida would be like?
Oh my gosh, it's just a bunch of land.
Yeah, just a bunch of nothing.
Yeah.
And it's hot, it's buggy, it's hard to find fresh
The
water.
mangroves.
Yeah, those people really struggled, and they were all farmers back in the day.
Yeah.
Dania was the tomato capital of the world.
Oh, was it?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, we were tomato capital of the world.
Yeah.
Up until like the 40s or 50s.
Interesting.
Because when we built Port Everglades, created the port, it created saltwater intrusion, ruined all the crops. Yeah, and the whole reason they created the port was to send out the extra produce that we have because not enough was going out on the train fast enough. So they had to dig a port to send out by boat. But the saltwater intrusion, right? It's very ironic.
That is very, very ironic.
Yeah, but it's all great history, and that's what I like to do. I like to just share the history and those little stories, but it makes you understand a lot of like why this is here and why that's there, and you could put a lot of the pieces together.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have the airport and the cruise port. It's not in Dania.
Yeah, but it's so
but
close.
we
It's
surround
like right there.
It pretty
It's
much
like
is in
right
Dania.
there. Yeah. So like, did you feel like becoming mayor of Dania was just like your purpose, your calling?
No.
No.
No, I wouldn't say that.
No?
No, I never wanted to get into politics. I would say that. I don't think I ever wanted to get into politics. I was really focused on my career. In the beginning, just trying to get a foothold here in South Florida is tough. So I was very focused on my career and just trying to, like I said, establish myself as an individual first. And then I have my family. So very focused on my family. And then it turns out like I felt like there was a no turning back point where if I didn't get involved, it would get too far away from me in a way. When it came to just my city, just Dania. It's not like I'm talking about my political career or something. It's just focusing on my city and being a leader for my city. I felt like it would have gotten too far away, so it was the right time to step in. And I stepped in, and I became the mayor. But I wouldn't say it was my calling. And do I work hard at it? Yes. If I do anything, I I want to do it correctly. I want to do it to the best of my ability. So I am the mayor. So I do my homework. I do my research. I prepare my speeches. I meet with my constituents, and I want to be the best mayor I could be, and I hope that I set a good example for other leaders as well. And the biggest thing is I hope that I make my residents proud that I'm their representative.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest thing. If you're there, you're gonna do it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm the mayor, so I'm gonna do it. And did I know everything that was gonna entail when I got elected? No. Right?
Yeah.
But you still can't forget of where you were and what you really wanted to do when you got elected. So I always try to go back to the person who I was, how I was thinking before, and never forget that in a way. Obviously, we're all going to change, right? And
Yeah.
we're all going to grow, but I always want to remember that initial reason of why I got involved.
Yeah.
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 Okay. And so, like, I guess for your future goals, like, I guess, do you want to stay in politics or like,
Maybe. Yeah. This is only my first go around. I've only been elected. I've only been the mayor for 2 years. I have 2 more years left as a commissioner, and then I could run again, and I could be on the commission again for 4 more years, and then you're termed out. But yeah, there's other positions. Obviously, there's other political positions. You have the county, the state. You all go all the way up to federal. Be in Congress. So you could be in Washington, you could be in Tallahassee, but you could be on the county board. But I think you get a lot more done locally.
Yeah.
You get it done quicker, even though it's slow as dirt still. It's slow as a snail. It's not slow as dirt.
Yeah.
Slow as a snail still, but you can still get it done quicker.
Yeah.
A lot more quickly. And you could have more of an impact, more of an effect at the local level.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot. You have to have good resources though up top, right? So you want to make sure that you have good leaders above you, but it's very personal, right? Like
Yeah.
that's what I say. You still see these people in Publix, right? Like it's you're affecting your locals' lives daily by the decisions that you make, whether it be something small from, putting an artificial turf in your backyard or, any type of ordinance, like a noise ordinance. It could affect your residents. So when you make those decisions, you can't make them lightly.
Yeah.
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 Okay. All right. And so I guess like for people who may have an interest in politics, may not, maybe they have a little inkling like maybe I should run for this, but they don't know where to start. What would be your top 3 pieces of advice for that?
Really understand why you're running. Know the position that you're running for, and figure out how you can make a difference. What could you do if you were in that position, right? Whether you're running for sheriff, or you're running for city commission or state rep, right? And also look to your idols. Look to those that inspire you. Not just like those that are currently alive or anything like that. I'm not saying look to the current presidents or anything like that. I'm look to older presidents, FDR, JFK, Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt's a big inspiration to me, and the guy died a long time ago. But when you see those that were in Abraham Lincoln, when you see people that are in politics and the difference that they made, and if you study politics and you look at their lives, then I'd say that kind of gives you a little inspiration or how to behave or how not to behave, right?
Mm-hmm.
And definitely make sure that you know your purpose, right?
Yeah.
And go after it with all your might, right? If you're gonna run, okay? Don't just do it as a joke. Don't just do it because you're an empty nester and you got nothing to do and now you want to get involved. Like, do it because you have a passion for it.
Yeah.
And not necessarily do you want to change everything, right? But you want to be fair, right? You want to be fair and you want to be equal with everyone.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing. You want to voice your opinion. Look, some people get involved. Our commissioner who's leaving, she got involved in politics because she wanted to build a gym. She wanted an indoor gym at one of our parks. And, she's a phenomenal world-class basketball player, University of Miami Hall of Fame. And, it wasn't going to get anywhere without her. And then she got elected, and that was her big motivation. And guess what? We're gonna name the gym after her.
Oh,
right?
yeah, that's fantastic.
And look, she's been officer 8 years, and it's probably done in a year or two. So it took her 10, 12 years,
Wow.
right? And so that shows you though, but you could get involved just for that one thing.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I want to clean all the waterways, right? So I'm getting involved just for that. Hey, I want to make sure that our schools are all A+ schools. Let's get involved for that. And however long it takes you, but you can't be some, one-trick pony, right? You have to also understand the other aspects, of your position. It's good to have your main objective, right? You always have your main objective up top, but you still have to be open-minded and do your research for all the other pressing issues that you vote on as well, as a policymaker.
Yeah.
So there's many reasons why people get involved, right? I'm sure you see it every day, but my advice to those people is just make sure you have a passion about it, because it can be tolling. It really can. It can be monotonous sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's fulfilling. That's my word that I like to use a lot. It's a very fulfilling experience, I would say, because you actually can make a difference. You could change someone's life.
Yeah,
for the better.
And I think that's the most important thing, right? You got to do what's fulfilling to you.
Yes.
Like through and through and through. It definitely has to be fulfilling, or else, you'll burn out. You won't care to research. You won't, you really won't give it your all if it's not fulfilling to you.
Correct.
So, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
But and then sometimes you don't know if it's fulfilling. You could do something, something small, like write back an email, send it out to this department, that department, and you don't hear about anything for a year, and then months later somebody comes up to you and says, hey, by the way, thank you so much for helping me with that situation, or I really like how you did this over here at the beach or the park. Like it really means a lot. And right there you're like, wow, this is something that I didn't thought anybody even noticed or cared about, and then you get that compliment. And that's in everybody's life. It's not just as like a local elected official. It's good to be recognized. If there's one thing I've learned is everybody likes to be recognized, especially these politicians. So it is good to be recognized and appreciated sometimes for your role. Yeah,
that's true. Because like even with this podcast, whenever I get comments or something like, thank you so much, this really helped, I'm like, all right, that's good, I'll keep going.
There's that fulfillment there.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah,
a bucket filler, right? That's what they call it.
Yeah.
My kid's school. A bucket filler.
So where can people find you? Where can people find you, get in contact with you, or
my Instagram is Mayor AJ Ryan. Mayor AJ Ryan's my Instagram. You go to daniabeachfl.gov. I have a number you could call directly. You could email me, ajryan@daniabeachfl.gov. If you want to reach out. And you can find me on social media for sure. You can find me on the city's website. And that's probably the best way to reach out to me. I'm not hard to find. You can just Google AJ Ryan Dania Beach and you'll find me. I'm accessible. That's for sure. Definitely accessible.
Yeah.
I can't get back to everybody. It's hard to get back to every email. But, you do the best you can with the time that you have.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much for being here. I learned a lot. I learned so much about Dania that I didn't even realize, and I love it down there. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it anytime. And I look forward to following you and following more of your shows that you do in the future.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Jessica.